So, this is a practice again. So this is in part of me trying to reach for vocational goals, occupational vocational goals, with Lego as a passion. And what Lego represents for me may represent something different for you. So to stay on point, if I had a prompt, so let's introduce the demonstration right here. Let's talk about what's here in front of us. Right here, we have a simple set of Lego that was a Christmas present for myself and a family member. And over here, I have this Lego Botanical Almanac that is a bit more plain language, simplistic to read. It has some beautiful illustrations in here, and the texture of the book has a slight indentation in the print on the cover. You open it up and you can see inside the cover there's some botanical illustrations inside, and then it shows the contents, and then it starts going into the flowers. And it shows, here's the sunflower. It shows an illustration, a graphic over on this side. Oops. And then it shows a brief description of the sunflower, their Lego sunflower. And here we have the build of the Lego sunflowers. They were my first Lego Lego set within the past couple years, which has been a challenge in itself. And the goals are to reach towards optimizing my challenges. Now there's also another inside here, there's many more of the botanical series sets from Lego. And then over here, here are the lotuses. They're in there as well, in the almanac as well. Now if we go over here to this area here, we can look at the different pieces. But first, before I do that, I would like to point out the colors. So the colors that are on display right now, what they represent, or what they are is, and we see the yellows, we see these the blue-green, it's like a lagoon, it represents a lagoon. And then over here is the brown. So these are earthy colors, and the brown may represent the different types of soil. So mineral soil is having 20% or less organic matter. So this is where I'm still processing this information, because you see the browns, it goes around this vicinity right here. Now within this vicinity here, we have some different materials. Now Lego tends to lean very much into biodiversity and neurodiversity, and they are a very broad culture. However, they also support neurodiversity, and they go and have different branches. For example, this set, or this build here, I don't know if you can see the front part, but this build here is a Lego Education, a personal set. I forget what the actual name is at this moment, but it allowed me to practice my autonomous vehicle building, which had a couple pieces that went into it. But it led to Lego Build to Launch, which is an initiative that NASA and Lego did together. And this goes into STEAM training, and part of my journey is neurodivergent burnout prevention and recovery tools. These help me recover from differences basically, and learn and relearn skills again. And this also, I went through many names for it, but this also went into what I call the well, I don't know what it's called exactly right now, but there's some different features that it does allow. So this is a seed packet. These are sunflower seeds. And these sunflower seeds go into here. This is metaphor analogy. And it has the features of the chopper dropper feature and the cropper plopper feature. So it's pretty fun. It helps learning. It's silly and imaginative and real too. It's regulating. So then over here I have this wooden symbol or wooden word, and what does it say? Can you see it on screen? What's it? This says love. So this is learning to love again after hardship, and discipleship to myself, and learning what that is for myself and my journey that I'm on here, and to see who I can trek along with, to share hope with. And I did my paintings. Now this is acrylic based. I have been working on reducing like these two canvases back here. They were painted with my hands and my breath as part of this, and this represents IFS, internal family systems. So that sense of self, and my colors and meaning and purpose, and these are acrylic based as well, and I just ridded with the acrylic base to have, there's another one over there that you can't see, but I'm trying to go as natural and locally sourced materials, resources as possible, a little at a time, as I work towards regenerative organic living practices. So this goes into special projects and specialty crops for neurodiversity and biodiversity in mind. So over here we have the field, the forest, the pieces to the forest. So here we have flower, we have a flower forest. This represents flower forest. Now this was a card that I got for myself and Mother's Day presents for my loved ones, and they are sustainable products, and they have simple craftsmanship to them, and then you can see there's some floral print on this card stock, and it's a pop-up card that has a flower cart on it as well. Now they are grown without chemicals, so they're non-GMOs. They're I don't know if they literally are, but for imagination play purposes and what I'm working towards is they are chemical free, no pesticides, herbicides, no to low. I'm still learning. I really prefer not to use any. So that's where the regenerative definition comes in, with actively practicing improving the soil health. And that's with small graduals over time, and it makes a difference. And to minimalize your environment, environmental control, basically, what is in your field, and it goes into the housing structure. So this is so this is, I had to look at it from that view, it's hard to see, but this is a Lego series, hold on, Lego Friends set. And this is the Beekeeper's Inn. And they also have set numbers that I have been working on a list of the set numbers to keep track of energy accounting and improve that energy accounting as a neurodivergent, looking for my own vocational security. So this goes into like my parts, so my IFS work, my Lego work, and rebuilding our world, which they have a book on also, which I do have but not in here. It does talk about it's I'd say that one's easy read, but that one goes into rebuilding our world and acts that you can do for yourself and for others. And I find that interesting. It helps with sensory integration. And over here, there's some different trees. I'm not exactly sure what those kind are yet. But over here, in the front, you can see the garden. Now there's some sunflowers there. And there are some, I'm not sure of the purples, but there are some roses there. And I was reading about sunflowers and roses, and how sunflowers are more extroverted and roses are more, I guess maybe more reserved and introverted. However, somebody can be born a sunflower their whole life, or maybe they're born more of a rose. And but then they start meeting other sunflowers and they have this interest, so that's that intro extrovert type of personality. And they start with confidence building, and it's not linear, obviously, but the roses can then, they can become companion plants. See, they're companion plants right there. And roses may become a sunflower. I mean, in reality, I don't know if a rose can actually become a sunflower, and I'm not gonna mess with that, but excuse me. Over here we have a vegetable garden, and in this vegetable garden you can see some tall, I'm not sure if those, what those are exactly, but there's some carrots here, and maybe some lettuce or kale, I'm not sure over here. And then there's a bunny, and that bunny is looking at the carrots, but it's a well-behaved bunny. And over here we go into the front of here. Now I had moved the picnic table that the set initially starts, or the picnic table goes up here, but then I noticed the door, when it opens, which it does open, hard to open from this angle, but the door does open, and when the door opens, it hit the picnic table. So I'm really very much interested in neuro-inclusive design and development. So a little bit of the designing and the development, but that's the stuff that I notice, and that really does it does resonate with me. With, if you want to use functionality or accessibility or whatnot, that does. So what I did was I moved the picnic table back here. Now if I gently move this aside, oh, hold on, we lost the minifigure here. So now it's a new day, so they can put their gear back on. So then we go over here and put these minifigures over here. Okay. Then we're going to go over here and just move it aside for now so you can see. That's what I have right now. So over here, I use a base plate. I think it's a 32 by 32 stud. I'm not exactly sure at this moment, but it goes on to expanding their lawn. And then I put these little trinkets that I made, fidgets. I made these little plops over the time of the past year or two. And that goes into soil and different colors. So there's the greens, and then this one has some browns and blacks. So there's a little bit of bare spots there. But I put them here, and this is to actively practice improving the soil and improving the organic matter. So turning it from a mineral soil to an organic soil where it's filled with that above 20%, above 20% organic matter. And over here, just like here, for real, I have my dog Chico here, and this right here is Chico. Chico's a kind sir. His name is Chico, Chico Sir, or Sir Chico, or sometimes Sonny. So over here we have this little dog here, a pup, or one that looks like a pup, for example, but it's a senior. He's 15 years old, young. He's 15. And over here, we then have the picnic table that I have moved back to the center of the lawn. And then back here, which now I'm wondering, but yeah, I think that's good right now. Back here we have this little, it's the Lego, I think it's the Lego Friends Bistro cart, and it came with a minifigure, which I don't have him out right now, but his name is Axel, and he's the bistro, and then the barista, and then there's the, sorry, it's okay. And then that's the other thing, but right now I have this cart, and I have Chef Liv. Chef Liv is a minifigure, and she is, again, I have to get the list out and learn these terms, but Chef Liv is here, and then Professor Newt is here. Now, Professor Newt is a hidden disabilities sunflower program advocate. So she's in training, but she is part of me, and she is part of myself, obviously, or however you want to word that. But she is a sunflower lanyard wearer as well. She's a custom minifigure, because what happened was Lego and Hidden Disabilities, they partnered. Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program partnered together to help support our ecosystem, sustainable life. So to give opportunity, not just give, but like to help with pathways to encourage the Lego values of play well and differences and purpose and meaning. And Chef Liv over here is another part of me, my true, obviously a part of my true self. And I have eating disorders, and that goes into financial insecurities and other stuff too. But my point being is they help me regulate and focus and feel safe and secure more, or I'm not sure about more or less, but differently. They help me learn to hone skills and learn a little bit at a time, and learning the pacing and energy accounting stuff I'm working on yet. I could use support with this, and I do have support, but I would like, I'm kind of looking for, I am looking for real-time support. And I'm still trying to find if that is going to be in person or virtually. So I've been working on things a little bit here and there to see what works and what doesn't, and to make adjustments and adapt and regenerate my being and utilize my tools for my therapeutic multiple modalities, my interdisciplinary. It's a holistic practice for me, I guess, in a way. So what it represents to me is how it goes into the soil health and our food chain and food supply, and that leads me to here. This here is a sunflower stem that was from a live sunflower about a year ago or so, and it was hold on a second. Yes, okay, that's interesting. But anyway, so this goes to be able to have that tangible hands-on experience where you're able to learn this way, and you're able to observe and feel and understand. It helps with understanding. This is part of my learning style, and we each have different learning styles and learning differences. And then learning about the passive learning, which tends to be more lecture-based and reading, and then leading to audio and visual. Leading to audio and visual becomes more active. So in here, then it goes to demonstration, discussion, practicing, and teaching, and then repeating around your interest, and then, or there was just a sudden loud noise, and this goes into, you can learn about sunflowers and how they actively improve our soil health. Actually, they go and you plant the seed. So here's seeds. So imagine this. These seeds are put into the machine, and there is a communication, it's a communication tool of differences. So you program this machine, and it has the different features I named too, the chopper dropper feature and the cropper plopper feature. And you go and you select what feature. So if you're going to plant sunflower seeds, you're going to use the cropper plopper feature, and it goes, and then it will turn and go, and then it will plant those seeds. And then with the nutrients that any living matter needs, such as, to grow, would be air, temperature, water, and light. And some may need more or less than the others, and it's a matter of the photosynthesizing and learning. And now sunflower seeds, not sunflower seeds, but let's just keep it basic, but once the sunflower seeds go and receive their nutrients, and they break dormancy and go through the germination process, and then photosynthesize, and they start sprouting. The seedlings sprout, and they start forming their leaves, and those first set of leaves are called seed leaves. Now the seed leaves then eventually, with photosynthesis, start changing to their true leaves. So imagine this over here is then obviously a different color because it would be alive in that sense. Right now this is a dried stem, but imagine this is a live sunflower, a growing sunflower, and it grows and it forms these leaves and it grows, and there's different types. So this one I think was a mammoth gray striped. I'm not exactly sure because I'm still learning myself, but it grows these leaves and then it forms a flower head. Now, also, it was a tall sunflower. So there's also dwarf sunflowers, and there's different varieties, like approximately 70 different species. And then whether or not they're GMOs or non-GMOs, hybrids, heirlooms, stuff like that go into it too. But these go, and it grows a flower head. And the flower head has ray florets. So this one had the yellow ray florets, and then the center, the disc floret, holds more of those sunflower seeds, which then are harvested or I mean, obviously pollination goes on into it and such, but they're harvested once they reach a certain maturity, and they do also turn with the sun mostly, and it depends how they're growing in their environment, but they follow the sun, and that's called heliotropism. So the younger ones, they follow the sun by facing the sun in the east in the morning at the sunrise, and then throughout the day they turn with the sun to the evening in the west, and then through the night they'll eventually face the sun again. Now the mature ones, they stay facing the east all the time, and but that's that there. So once the sunflowers are harvested, they could be harvested with the tool chopper dropper feature. That goes, and then you can harvest you can recycle, repurpose, and reuse any part of a sunflower. And they also have deep tap roots. They are great for aerating the soil, and which allows for the soil to improve the health, or for the soil health to improve. And they're cheerful, they're spiritual, they're emotional, they're loving, they're demonstrative, they're healing, they're fun, they're pleasant. Animals, nature loves them. Birds can eat them. We can eat the seeds. We can eat a lot of the plant, actually. Like with the ray florets. With the ray florets, you can actually turn into a sunflower tea if you drink tea. So I have a patio mod bed that I just planted these modern sprout seed bombs in them about a week or so ago. So they're still working, and they didn't sprout yet because it takes some time for those. But those have different flower or herbs, I guess. Are they herbs? So it's like lemon basil, or lemon balm, thyme, lavender, chamomile, no, not lavender, maybe, I'm not sure about that one, but chamomile, mint. So we're gonna see what comes up of that. And they are also non-GMO, or organic. So then that goes to and I've planted some teddy bear dwarf sunflower seeds in there about a month ago, but those ones I think I thinned them too early because it was my first time learning that. So the true leaves didn't exactly form, so they kind of remained stunted, and plus we had a lot of rainfall, and I didn't have anything to throw over them until we eventually got mulch for another project, and I used some of that. So as far as soil testing, I'm still working on the soil testing and improving. Yeah, so I intend to grow sunflowers with companion plants, and I also have a vermicomposting, so this goes into gardening practices and learning. The vermicomposting is in the raised bed. Now, the raised bed is on a slope, so I try to practice my physical therapy and occupational and speech with earthing and grounding mindfulness activities focused around botanical, culinary, and musical elements, or focuses, I don't know the exact word to use, but so the vermicomposting bins, they're at about 2 months now that they're being established. The worms are growing, they're coming along nicely. I pay attention to the materials in there and type in it's organic based ingredients, like USDA organic, and look at the texture and the smells, so I pay attention to that stuff. And then like what I see in there, like what type of activities in there. There was a spider in there, a big one, and then there was a small one. But it broke down, the material broke down. It's getting warm, so I take temperature and it shows when it's in the green zone, which they call the happy zone. And then the warm zone, you want to try to cool it by adjusting some things. So I've been doing that, and I feel that naturally, and then I go and I do my research parts to make sure that I'm on the right track. And so the worms, also with the system that I have, it's the Subpod Mini. I have 2 of them, one in each part. So one on this side in the raised bed, and one on this side, and it allows for them to move through the rest of the garden, so out of their worm bins, and then they return for their feeding. And that helps them colonize, and it helps them it helps the population within the environment, within their raised bed area, and then us as well, as a family and then community, trying to get back out there after some stuff. But this is to hopefully demonstrate that there is hope. So also back here, I forgot to conclude with the last 3 parts. There's a little stand that shows some candles. So that represents fire, which we all have elements to us. And that represents things that feel true to me and my connection, or what I intend to lean towards. So this has some, looks like some honey. So the honey, we buy local honey, local raw honey, to support that, and then it helps with any like pollutants, or it helps improve soil health within us and the area as well. It's a nice contribution of being and doing, and I find enjoyment with that. And then there's these 2 collection bins. So these bins here go, and they so they're harvested. So the flowers or vegetables, the food forest, the flower forest, food forestry, energy conservation, and wildlife conservation are things that I find of great interest. And the they can go and be harvested, and then for permaculture design here with this design, there's no pavers back here though. I do notice that so you'd have to walk on the grass. So I'm not sure. I don't want to really disrupt the natural system. So I'm trying to learn, like, when do you, like, I'm very much into reforestation. So for example, planting trees and reoxygenating us, our planet, and oh, it isn't attached. So here, this is the bin. You could put your sunflower collections in here, your vegetables, your fruits, whatever in here. So that's really cool. I love organizing. I do. And then anyway, then over here, this is a, let me see if I get this right. Oh, hold on, I forget. So beehive or bee's nest. So one of them is the natural, and I forget what that is. But this is the natural one. This is to represent a large nest. I think it's nest, bee's nest, and that helps harmonize the community or the home. And over here, the up here, I forgot to mention the bees hive, I think, or vice versa, but the beekeeper tends to that, and that helps with the composing of the environment or whatnot. So I find that of great interest. And then over here we have a food truck. So there's some tea bags I have. So I don't drink tea often, but when I do, lavender chamomile is my go-to, or I make a simple water, a warm water with a little bit of honey in it. Sometimes lemon. And then this food truck, it has some of the locally grown sources, such as the sunflower parts, the pieces to the sunflower. So whether that's the sunflower tea, or lavender tea, chamomile tea. This is Lego form, helping to learn, hopefully. So, and then maybe some vegetables and such too. What I visualize is you could have a nice, lovely open space. I like open space. I don't want it to be chunked up where you're all like crammed in there. I'd like flow, so flow is important, and movement. So I lean towards, for one, like I mentioned, the regenerative organic movement, but also another one, civil rights movement. And I find that support is needed to help organize this vision that I've had, or that I have and continue to lean towards, and hope that pathways and trailblazing and wayfinding is a thing. So yeah, that's what I have for right now. And then I have my simple guides. So this represents, again, sunshine. But sometimes it's like you need a break from that heavy sun exposure, the EMF exposure. So you have spaces, sensory spaces, activities that you can do that help with the regulating, for neurodiversity in mind, for example. And but this card, just simply, goes into Lego Serious Play. So Lego Serious Play is, there's a facilitator and then there's participants, the clients. So Lego Serious Play can be used anywhere, but the main idea is that I think they lean towards organizations. Now again, neurodivergent burnout can be environmental, so like trying to help harmonize the sustainable life here, but the facilitator is to train. Everybody trains differently, but they do have Lego Serious Play, LSP they call it, facilitator training. But facilitators, whether you're LSP facilitator, or facilitator from wherever, this goes to show that people can learn differently, and it does take time to learn, and everybody learns in their own different time. So some people may learn quickly, some people take a little bit longer, or maybe with something they take longer with, but then they excel with this. But my point being is that within an LSP workshop, which they say generally is 3 hours to a day long, where there's sessions, and within the sessions they have the participants, they go and they are prompted a challenge, whether that's a question or a statement from the facilitator. And you want to start small. They say to start with a group of like 4 to 8 participants generally, as you're getting a feel for Lego Serious Play to see if it's for you or not. You can go in as a participant, or you can go in as a facilitator and then grow how you grow with that. So then there's a build after the challenge, there's a build. And then so they build from that challenge, and then they share that build, and then they reflect. So when you're starting, you want to start small, like I said, 4 to 8 participants. And you want to, they were saying that you want to start with the individual build first. So you'll give the challenge to the participants, the 4 to 8 participants. But first, each one of those participants are going to start with the first session. You're going to grow these skill sets. So you're going to plan this stuff with support and training time, and you're going to want to go and start with the individual builds, and then you share with each other, and then reflect individually, I think. And then as you go with the next session where you give another challenge, the facilitator gives another challenge, you're going to gradually go from the individual build to a group build. So say you have 4 participants, you can do 2 groups, so each group has 2 participants. So there's mathematics right there. So you can go and have the challenge, and then the group 1 and group 2, they do a build together, and then they share with each other. And they could share with each other within that group, and then share outside of the group with the other group. You can do something like that. And then reflection time. So get to know, they say get to know your audience, and grow from there. Yeah, I said grow from there. So I have a silly sense of humor sometimes, and sometimes I have too much of a serious sense of humor. So I'm working on what LSP, Lego Serious Play, refers to in their open source book. They have this visual aid that talks about, and I have it on one of the slide decks, but it talks about the challenge. There's this optimal window you want to go. So there's the I forget what it's called, but it's a nice graphic visual aid that helps with being clear. So you don't want too little of a challenge, and you don't want too much of a challenge. You want to be able to have this flow state where you see that there's engagement, you see that people aren't like that, or people aren't like, ah, like that, you know? Like you want to be able to grow a community where you can help harmonize and include, hopefully, are my goals, to feel included and to be included and to include others in environments that share interests around these topics. Mine specifically are botanical, culinary, musical, regenerative, organic living, and the stuff that I was talking about. So memory is a thing I'm still working on, my working memory. And some things. So health conditions. I have health conditions. We all have health conditions, right? So I'm trying to be able to lean towards this and get strong in spirit and emotion and function and become me as an authentic neurodivergent person without the heavy feelings of imbalancing because I feel so broken and fragmented and such. That's where Lego can help with building those big heavy feelings, like if you know, like say you have this feeling like, okay, like you're just in this defense, hurtful heart, this zone. The goal is to create an environment that is calming, and that's where that comes in, the emotional part. To be able to work in trauma therapy. I'm not a trauma therapist. I've been in trauma therapy most of my life, and I feel like I don't know if I'd take this to my school, my path, continue this in my education, to have help from facilitators that are trained with me and to find my support systems. I mean, this isn't my first, I don't know, the saying, this isn't my first rodeo or whatnot, but that could be echolalic script or something, which we all have some levels of that because we are all born as a tape recorder. So it's up to us to be able to see, I don't know, Gestalt language processors, and then there's also analytic language processors, or combination. So like I started recognizing some things over the years, and I've been trying to utilize my analytic language processing type in the optimal flow zone. So I mean, home building skills, tangible activities, Lego, arts, sciences, math, sciences, so STEAM, so robotic or not robotic. So there's AI, and then there's natural, and the goals I feel are to coexist and to work on the evolution parts of the microecology as integration. So this other last paper I'm just going to end with here, I think I touched base on other stuff, is I have this paper down here, this white paper. Now I'm not going to lift it, but it has I doodle, I'll do quick doodles, and sometimes slow, depends. But this is where it's like I'm trying to get to know myself and become my own best friend, and to be able to heal some hurt parts and recognize where that is and help support those hurt parts and say, hey, it's okay, I have you, I have your back right here, right now, in this moment, and your feelings are valid. So this basically shows a block that says build, a block that says share, and then out of the block, so out of the box thinking, reflect, and then there's these pieces that are like, that could represent fragmentation, and then rebuilding that fragmentation and movement, like that, like stuff like that. Then there's a couple pieces, Lego pieces that are sprawled out on top of the paper, and those are in color form. So it starts going from, what is it, one-dimensional on paper, or two-dimensional, I forget, to two-dimensional, and then eventually to three-dimensional, and then maybe four-dimensional, and then like present, state of presentness, where there's clarity, presentness, and confidence, and my 8 C's and my 5 P's basically, and honing my skills and asking for feedback, knowing of my whatever profile, my character, like, because we all have character traits of some sort, but myself. So also on here it says ST for speech therapy. So in research terms, I looked at how Lego helps with these environments as well, which goes into what I'm looking for support with, and seed what comes from it. So ST, speech therapy, PT, physical therapy, OT, occupational therapy, and then there's TH, which is therapeutic horticulture. So I'm looking for that, to design and develop a therapeutic horticulture program with projects around these builds, well, around this, because designing and developing it. Excuse me. But yeah, and then it's at the top, it says adult day program, which turns to ag ed. So ag ed, adult ag ed, so agriculture education, vermicomposting and composting and lesson planning and stuff like that, and reflection time. And then it goes to the Lego Clubhouse, or what I've been calling it, the Lego Sunflower Club. So I could see nature centers or so recreational therapy, and that stigma that goes into the word therapy. I still have that myself sometimes. That's an internalized or externalized, whatever. Not whatever, like it doesn't matter, but that goes into, the stigma's there, and they're within the flowers too. So planting a garden, designing and developing a sensory garden, that feels comforting to the nervous system. So I don't know if it's like ivy outside there that is like affecting some things or whatnot, but that's the stuff I like learning about, and then trying to make subtle changes to the internal and external environment. So that's within the way I speak and learn and communicate this with my loved ones, and let them know what's going on, what I think may be going on, that type of stuff. So this is to help encourage self-advocacy and boundaries through play and work. So it doesn't be so heavy, you know? So that's what I have today, and we shall seed, and I will seed you again.